Over the past few weeks, we've been taking a road trip. Well, Ben has, really. He's been finding out how businesses are preparing for Brexit. He's been all around the UK on tour.
So many questions, of course, from business in relation to Brexit particularly. And Ben this morning is at Peterhead Fish Market in Aberdeenshire. And we can go to now. Morning to you, Ben.
Good morning. I'm scared of being sold here. This is an auction and it is underway and it is pretty frantic. Just take a look at what's happening up here. All of these fish that have been caught off the waters here in the last couple of days being sold today, they will end up all over Europe. This boxer haddock going for about 120 quid, all sorts of stuff going on down here, but there are clearly big worries about Brexit because this stuff is perishable. It can't sit around in the port if there are any delays, and yet overwhelmingly many of the fishermen in this part of the world voted for Brexit. They just wanted to regain control of the waters around here, and particularly those quotas that determine what they can and cannot fish. Let me introduce you to Graham. Graham, good morning. I can see you've been buying a lot here this morning. Your name is on a lot of things. Just give me a sense of what you're buying, but also where this stuff ends up.
This year I've been buying a lot of cod, and this here is coley, saith or coley. This will end up in France tomorrow morning, belonging tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning.
That quick it will get there?
Yeah.
What are you worried about then as far as the end of March? Because clearly, I said there, this stuff is perishable. It's got to go quickly. If there are delays, what does that mean for your business?
Well, we've been looking into this. There's going to be a delay at this end with the paperwork. We'll have more forms to fill in. The trucks will not be allowed to go until they rubber stamp the document. That's a hold-up. There's going to be a hold-up at the other end with the customs. I mean, they're telling us that the M25 could be 1-2 days delay. That's going to be a big problem.
Some would say, why not just sell more of this stuff in the UK? Why do we need to sell it to Europe?
Because it's a species that in the UK we've not been used to. They are trying it in more restaurants than that, coley and ling and all that. Hake has now been used in the UK, but more often than not, the likes of the coley here, we don't eat it in the UK. But yes, it's a good question. We maybe should.
Graham, really nice to see you. I'll let you get on with it because it's a busy morning for you. Nice to see you. Thanks so much. Let me introduce you to Bryce as well. Bryce, you're an expert from the University of York. What's so interesting about all of this is how much we import and export, and it's not what we think, is it?
No, interestingly, most of what we catch gets exported and most of what we eat actually is imported.
Why do we do that? I mean, I was saying to Graham there, why not just sell more in the UK? And is it about what we want to eat and our changing habits mean that we don't really want the stuff that's fished here?
No, I mean, so British people tend to have a fairly narrow sort of range of fish that they eat, so particularly cod and haddock for fish and chips, and then things like tuna, prawns, salmon as well. There's a huge diversity of fish here in the market, but actually most of it wouldn't be of that much interest to British consumer. So it goes overseas to Europe where we have more diverse tastes.
Okay, so let's talk about what it means then in terms of potentially tariffs, potentially delays at the border. And I use a potential because we just don't know, but this place could really be affected, couldn't it?
Yeah, it really could. I mean, of course, fish here particularly, it gets so much price because it's a fresh premium product. So if it sits around, you know, on the motorway or at the border for several days, which seems likely, then that's going to really affect its price. In fact, sometimes it will go off altogether, and that would be terrible.
One thing for them to contend with. Bryce, for now, thanks so much. Good to talk to you. So, as you can see, this place emptying out as we speak. A really busy morning here. And what we've found from a lot of the fishermen that I've spoken to this morning is that despite everything we've just explained to you there is still a lot of optimism. An optimism about getting control of the borders and the waters to make sure that they have a bit more control over what they fish. But also just saying, look, invest in the UK fishing industry. The number of ships that were coming into this place with fish on board has fallen pretty drastically since the 1970s. So what they're hoping is it will kickstart an investment in the fishing industry here in Scotland and right around the border here that will make this place viable again. So as you can see, very busy this morning, but clearly a lot of issues for them to contend with right now. And I'm going to move before I get sold because I'm not very pricey.
That would be a fishy deal, wouldn't it, Ben? Thanks very much. Ben was talking to lots of some people there about what kind of issues there are around Brexit. We're going to be talking to Dr. Liam Fox, who is the International Trade Secretary, a little later on in the programme.
Shall we take you to one of our live shots we've got for you this morning?